Good afternoon, everyone. This is Dr. Swati Mishra from International School of Business Management at Suresh Ganvihar University, Jaipur. And today we will be continuing with the further sessions of project management. And we will be continuing from the same topic which we had left in between in the previous session due to the time constraints. And the topic that we were discussing in the previous session was project feasibility analysis, wherein I had given you an overview of what is project feasibility analysis, and we had discussed economic feasibility analysis as well as technical feasibility analysis. A few points of technical feasibility analysis that were left in the previous session, we will be discussing them now. I had explained you the different techniques and tools which are used in production department for having a better efficiency and better production systems. I had given you a brief overview of how PERT networking techniques look like. So when we talk about PERT, program evaluation and review technique, so the PERT diagram's advantages have been depicted over here, which I would like to discuss with you today. So PERT basically, helps in easy identification of the order of precedence of the activities. It also helps in easy identification of the critical path and thus the critical activities in a networking technique. Similarly, it also eases the determination of the slack time, the leeway to fall behind on non-critical paths and all. So thus, PERT is one technique that helps you to find out which is the most suitable and feasible uh, path to complete the activities, such that the lag time reduces and overall efficiency is achieved in the organization. Similarly, there is time boxing, which actually helps sets an absolute due date for the project delivery. So the most critical features are developed first in case of time boxing and implemented by the due date. And then other features are added later on. So that is what is a time boxing technique. We will be going into greater depths of PERT and CPM in our later units, so don't get worried about it that I'm just closing the topic very early. It's nothing like that. We'll be discussing them in far greater depths, and we'll also be solving a few numericals on PERT and CPM. Then there are, personal information manager softwares. Uh, they are also known as PIN softwares, and they are useful for basically scheduling the activities, and they include features like telephone and fax number lists, to-do lists, online calendars, so that you can manage your all information in one place at one place. And along with that, you can actually, uh, you know, so I was saying that you can manage your entire information at one place, and with that you can actually schedule your tasks and targets, and can also complete them within the uh, deadlines that are being given to you. And this software also helps you to manage your online calendars. You can have a track of your day-to-day activity on your own online calendar, so that you can actually surf through those calendars and schedule your active daily activity. And you can also keep record of the daily work done, resources required, expenditures done, everything in that calendar. Then there is a very important task which is known as team management. Mostly teams have two types of leaders: one who leads the members to accomplish the task, and the second one who's concerned with social relationships management. So the systems analyst must manage the team members. He should also manage the activities of team members very well, so that a proper coordination amongst the activities of all the team members is created, is being built up, and it does not happen that they are just there are clashes in their activities, and because of clashes in the activities or clashes in the timings of the completion of the activity, the total purpose of creating a coordination gets defeated. And if that coordination is not formed, the timely completion of the tasks and the resources which are supplied, they also that this thing also does not happen properly, which means the resource allocation and time allocation is also improper in these cases. And that is why team management is very very important in this case. Then goal setting is another very important aspect. All the successful projects um, require that reasonable productivity goals for any kind of tangible outputs, and of course the process activities should be set, because unless there are goals of an organ or of a project team, the people will not feel motivated, because unless you have a goal you don't feel like working for it. So it helps you to motivate your team members that together we are supposed to reach that target and achieve it. So that is why goal setting technique is also highly important in this case. And then e-commerce project management is another thing that I wanted to discuss with you people. E-commerce and traditional software project management are two different things actually. The data which is used by e-commerce system is scattered across the organization, and e-commerce system needs a staff with a wide variety of skills. Partnerships must be built externally and internally well ahead of the implementation, and security here is of utmost importance. And there is the last thing that is needed to be managed absolutely well, and becomes one of the key elements of project feasibility analysis, which is management of the project failures. So obviously you must have heard about multiple different types of projects which have failed, due to many different reasons that are there. But you can say that a project might fail because there is improper team management. They could not do the feasibility analysis properly, and they didn't even know that the project was feasible or not. Or maybe some would say that you know they just failed because of technical failures, and because they couldn't do technical feasibility analysis properly. So there could be multiple such reasons, right? And that is why all the teams keep it as one of their main aspects to manage the project failures and to prevent those project failures actually. And how to prevent them, not to manage but to prevent them. Once you have failed, you can keep on managing the way you want, but the foremost thing is to prevent them. So that could be done by imparting correct training to your employees. Unless your employees are highly skilled, it is next to impossible to actually uh, take your project, or through the journey of completion till the journey, till the target of successful completion. So that is why training is one of the most important aspects here. Then of course the experience of the employees is also very important. If the employees or the team which is working with you people is highly experienced, then it is pretty obvious that your project is not going to fail. Otherwise, if the team is not as experienced as expected to be, then the projects may fail in future. Then there is one more very important aspect when you are desiring to prevent any kind of project failures. You need to learn why other projects have actually failed and learn from others' failures also. So, that is why we solve so many case studies in business management and, of course, in project management also. Because, when we learn about others, we get a lot of experience, and along with experience, we get a lot of ideas. And we also get the knowledge of what to do and what not to do to make your project successful. Right. So, in many cases, in many projects, it happens that the earlier teams have committed some silly mistakes because of which their projects could not succeed. And that is why it is highly important for any project team to understand that, project failures could be by multiple reasons. And these are the main reasons why some of these similar projects have failed. And we are not going to repeat that mistake. So that is why assessing failures of others is also highly important, and taking learning lessons from them is also highly important. So now we will move ahead towards the next feasibility analysis, which is the market analysis. So I also wanted to discuss market analysis with you people. Once we have discussed the technical analysis, earlier we had done economic analysis, and now it is the time to understand what is market feasibility analysis. So what happens is, as I told you, that the key issues in project analysis are the market analysis, which takes into consideration the analysis of the potential market and the market share. Next is the technical analysis, which actually assesses or analyzes the technical viability of a project, whether the project is technically viable or not. Which means that, whatever technology is required to carry out this project, whether we are, having that technology with us or not, and whether our labor or the employees or the task force is skilled enough or not to work on that technology. And the next is making sensible choices, which means that, if there is any kind of new technology that has come in, you have to make sensible choices whether it is a good option to imbibe it in your project or not, whether it is going to prove to be successful in future or not. So that is what is technical analysis. And then, of course, there is a financial analysis in which you are analyzing the financial risks, the financial returns, and finding out that what are the feasibility opportunities or options of a particular project based on the financial analysis. Economic analysis we have already discussed, wherein we find out the benefits and costs and shadow prices, and of course the other impacts also, other economic impacts which would be affecting your project in discussion. And then the last issue is the ecological analysis, where you are analyzing the environmental damage that would be caused by our project, and how are we going to tackle with it or deal with it, or what are we going to do extra. Like if there is an industry which is creating a lot of chemical waste, and it might be very highly pollutant for the soil, so soil pollution and of course water pollution might occur because of that. So what are the options or measures that an organization is going to take to reduce the toxicity of the chemical waste and the harmful ingredients in the chemical waste by treating them in post production plants? Every such plant has post production plants, which means the scrap goes to that plant. It any kind of toxic waste or anything, any kind of chemical waste, chemical outlets, they are treated, they are made environmentally less hazardous, and then they are disposed of outside the organization. So, and then of course, any kind of, so these are actually the restoration measures. Some organizations also do heavy plantations throughout the city, not only in their campus, but throughout the city also. So, all these are actually restoration measures for ecological analysis. So, as we have already understood that project feasibility analysis or project feasibility study is actually concerned with the first four phases of capital budgeting, which is planning, analysis, selection. By selection, we mean the evaluation and financing. It also involves the market, technical, economical, and ecological analysis. So I hope that now that we have discussed all the different types of analysis, it is absolutely clear, crystal clear to all of you that what is feasibility analysis and what is the aim or objective of feasibility analysis. The main objective of feasibility study is to maximize the wealth of the firm and increase its equity within the shareholders. For the obvious reasons that, once it has done all sorts of feasibility analysis about the project, so the main objective would be to maximize the wealth that would be earned from that project. So here a feasibility study model is given to you people, if you can see correctly. You know, the first step here of feasibility analysis is the generation of ideas. Once the ideas are generated, they are sent further for initial screening. Then, in the third step, you actually need to find out whether the idea is really promising or not. Once the final idea is selected, the one which was found to be most promising in nature, you actually plan the feasibility analysis. So, how do you plan this feasibility analysis? You conduct two types of surveys. One is you conduct the market analysis, and second is you conduct technical analysis. So, after both the types of analysis, market analysis also and technical analysis also, you come down and conduct a financial analysis of the both. Once the financial analysis is done, conduct an economic and ecological analysis also. Now, once that is done, you come to the final question of this entire feasibility study. Is the project worthwhile? So, this has to be decided after the thorough examination of each and every point that I have mentioned here in the feasibility study. So, lastly, if the project is found worthwhile, that yes, the project is worthwhile, then you prepare a funding proposal. And if it is not found worthwhile, then you just go ahead and terminate your project. So now we have reached up to the market analysis part. Your market analysis basically involves any sort of situational analysis, and the specification of the objectives are also mentioned over here. So once this specification of objectives is done, situational analysis is done, you have to collect a lot of secondary information also about the previous projects that were conducted and how far successful or unsuccessful those projects have been. After that, you conduct a market survey to find out the current requirement of that market and whether that project is actually needed in a market or not. So once the market survey is done and the results have been declared, characterization of market is also very important. After characterization of the market, you find out, you forecast the demand. Then any kind of uncertainties in the demand can be dealt with, provided the organization implements some good strategies. And then finally comes the last step of market planning. How you need to market your products. Then comes the commercial or market analysis. The commercial aspects of a project basically include the arrangement of marketing output produced by the project and the arrangements for the supply of inputs needed to build and operate the project. On the output side, careful analysis of the proposed market of the project's production is highly essential. And this is needed to actually ensure that there will be an effective demand at the remunerative prices. For example, questions to be asked here in this case would include: where will the products be sold? Is the market large enough to absorb the new production without affecting the price? If the price is likely to be affected, by how much? What share of the total market will the proposed project supply? Supply its product to. And are there appropriate facilities for handling the new production? So these are the questions which you should try to answer before seizing the market analysis that you have done. So on the input side, appropriate arrangement must be made for the farmers to secure the supplies of fertilizer, pesticide, and high yielding seeds, as they need to adopt new technologies or cropping patterns or new animal husbandry practices or anything like that. Now, again, there are a few questions which you need to ask here and start answering them so that you reach to the final conclusion. And these questions are that: do the market channels for inputs exist? And do they have enough capacity to supply the new inputs on time? And then, of course, lastly, what about the financing of suppliers of inputs and credit for the farmers to produce these supplies? So, with this, now I have reached the final slide of today's session. So, I won't take too much of time. We will just be covering this slide and then we will go ahead with the sessions with the discussions in the next section. So, commercial or market analysis, the commercial aspects of the project also include any sort of arrangement for procurement of equipments and supplies, right? So, the questions uh, to be asked include are, somewhat like: are the procurement procedures such that undue delays can be avoided? Are there procedures such that the undue delays can be avoided? Are there reduced procedures for competitive bidding to ensure any kind of fair prices? Who will draw up the specifications for the procurement? All these questions need to be answered before you are actually making your product reach the markets. So the commercial aspect also includes distribution arrangements, including warehousing and storage arrangements. And finally, market analysis can be achieved through descriptive approach, price, efficiency technique, or industrial organization technique. So, with this, we have covered a bit of market analysis also, and I'll be continuing with some more interesting topics and sessions on project management in my upcoming sessions, specially designed for BBA and MBA students for their benefit. So, meanwhile, I really hope that all the learners are benefiting from these sessions of project management. In case you need any further help or maybe learning material, then please leave a message in the comment box below the video. I would be really happy to answer to your queries relating to the subject. So that is all from my side for today. This is Dr. Swati Mishra from International School of Business Management at Suresh Gyan University, Jaipur, signing off. Thank you so much and have a nice day.